Welcome to today's Easy Floral Decorations live demo session. It's the time of year to be thinking about great festive activities in the lead up to Christmas. The activity we will be demonstrating today is adaptable for all abilities, from gathering and preparing the foliage to decorating and recycling containers. And it will hopefully get everybody in the festive mood. My name is Lorna Baker. I am the Trellis Office Manager, and with me today are my colleagues Jenny Simpson, who is the Trellis Information and Fieldwork Coordinator, and Joan Wilson, who is our Trellis Project Advisor. For those of you who don't know us, Trellis is the charity that supports practitioners in health, care, education and community settings to garden with their clients, especially those with no gardening knowledge or who are brushing up on long forgotten skills. You can find out more about the specific support we offer to this sector and find links to all our training and resources on the Trellis homepage. As ever, the aim of these online sessions is to inspire you to have a go at gardening activities with your clients. We'll be sharing lots of ideas to stimulate interest and interaction, and we'd love to hear about activities and techniques you've tried or questions about how to do any of these. So feel free to use the chat throughout the demonstration and ask any questions or any comments that you'd like to make, and a member of staff will voice your questions during the Q&A. You'll also get the opportunity to use the raise hand function and voice your question at the end. Today's session will be around 60 minutes long. We'll start off with a presentation from Jenny, and then the practical demonstration from Joan, and we'll finish up with a Q&A session at the end. At the end of the session, we'll put in a link to the feedback survey, and if you could take a couple of minutes just to complete that, feedback is really important to us. We have also enabled live transcript today, so you can enable subtitles if you just click the three dots where it says more and click on live transcript. I'm going to hand over to Jenny now to start her presentation.
Thanks very much, Lorna. I'm just going to run through a few slides this morning, and really it's just to get you in the festive mood. I know this is only November, but we're going to fast forward. We're fasting forward to Christmas time, and I've got a few slides and some information and some nice visual images for you to kind of retain in your mind and think about Christmas and why we celebrate it and what it's all about. So I'm going to share my slides with you. Just give me a moment to share the screen. So I'm sharing my screen, but it's not what I want to see. Sorry, folks, just bear with me until I get my head around this. Oh, why am I just seeing that? It's very bizarre. Sorry, let me come out. Let me come out of that and go in again. I'll just check I've got it. I do have it open. All right, hold on. Be with you in a minute. Here we go. There we go. Easy floral decorations. I knew it was there. It just wasn't showing me. Okay. Well, Joan is going to demonstrate later on, so it's going to be very exciting. I love watching this kind of demonstration, so I'm going to leave you with that little picture there. But Joan's going to talk about easy floral decorations, and I'm hopefully going to get my slideshow to work. Here we go. So we're going to talk about decorating your homes with greenery, which is a Christmas tradition here in Northern Europe, and a little bit of history about it. So from the earliest times, evergreens were seen as representing eternal life. So why was that? Well, at this time of year, all the other plants would be dormant for the winter, and the evergreens were still alive and green, so they would be seen never to die, and that's how they got this reputation and why we use them so much at this time of year. So the origins of Christmas predate Christianity. So back in pagan Britain, we celebrated the winter solstice, which this year's on the 21st of December, when the days start to get longer. Can you believe it? So it's midwinter, everything's dark very early, but the days do start to get a little longer from the 21st. And back then, to encourage the sun to return, it was celebrated with bonfires were built, and you sort of hung up your gifts to the gods on the branches of evergreen trees, such as pines and holly and ivy. And those things were thought to symbolize everlasting life. So it's a very old tradition that we still celebrate now, which is lovely, actually. It's a nice sense of tradition there. There's a very fiery midwinter sky. So through the ages, folk songs, Christmas carols and religious songs have reflected these ancient traditions, and one of the most famous ones possibly is the holly and the ivy. And I've got a link here to a sort of animation of the holly and the ivy with the words that come along with it, and it's something that you could perhaps share with your group if you fancied having a sing-along, but don't feel that you can burst into song solo. You can have a try with this, it's actually quite nice. I wonder if we can play it, and it just takes a moment or two, and just let you have a little preview. I'll click the link and see if it works for us. To pick up with the advert. Here we go.
Holly and the ivy, when they are both full grown, of all the trees that are in the wood, the holly bears the crown. For the rising of the sun and the running of the deep, the playing of the merry organ, singing in the choir. The holly bears a blossom as white as lily flower, and Mary bore sweet Jesus Christ to be our sweet Savior. Oh, the rising of the sun and the running of the deep, the playing of the merry organ, singing in the choir.
The holly bears a berry as red as any blood, and Mary bore sweet Jesus Christ to do for sinners good.
Oh, the rising of the sun and the running of the deep, the playing of the merry organ, singing in the choir. The holly bears a prickle as sharp as any thorn, and Mary bore sweet Jesus Christ on Christmas Day in the morn. On the rising of the sun and the running of the deep, the playing of the merry organ, singing in the choir. On the rising of the sun, it's the deep, the playing of the merry organ, singing in the choir.
Make sure that stops. It's great. Okay. Lovely. Well, there. Hopefully that got you in the mood for a bit of the holly and the ivy, and a bit of a sing-song. So a nice thing to be doing with your group, just to get warmed up for Christmas. So we're talking about bringing in the red and the green indoors. These are lovely traditional colours with table decorations, wreaths, Christmas trees and garlands. So lots of ways to decorate indoors. Here's a little bit about wreaths. It's a very old word, which is based in Middle English, which is oreth, and Old English, which is oritha, meaning a band. And wreaths represent the circle of life, and they go back to there's a bit of a Greek heritage with these as well. So seemingly they were used back in ancient Greece, and they're used across Europe as well, in Poland and Ukraine and Hungary and other Eastern European cultures, as well as our own. And we also have the tradition of Advent, which is a Christian tradition of the hanging of the greens to decorate churches. So that was something that was done in the Sundays leading up to Christmas, 4 Sundays leading up to Christmas. So lots of tradition of bringing greenery indoors. The Christmas tree, as we know, it was brought here, it was an import from Germany in the early 1800s, started by Queen Charlotte, the wife of George III. And the first Christmas tree was put up in Windsor in Christmas 1800, which is a long time ago now. But it was popularised by Prince Albert, the current king's great-great-grandfather. And the media of the time went to town about these lovely decorated trees, and anybody that was anybody wanted to emulate the royal family. So it began a tradition of large trees in all the country houses across the land, and that is where we get our tradition of putting up a Christmas tree. So that's nice to know it has these long historical roots too. So the Christmas tree industry today, there are 6 to 8 million real Christmas trees grown and sold in the UK every year, which I thought that was quite an astounding figure. That's interesting. And 2/3 of households opt for an artificial tree, seemingly. So lots of people opting to keep an artificial one too. So, but 6 to 8 million real Christmas trees every year. Wow, that's amazing. And so enjoy bringing in the green and welcoming back the sun from the 21st of December. And I'm going to stop sharing now and hand you over to Joan, who's going to show us just how to do that.
Okie dokie, thank you very much, Jenny. I'm just going to press that wee button there. Yeah, cool. Okay, hello everybody, and thanks again for joining in our live demos via Zoom. Jenny's touched on the traditions of Christmas, and I'm sure many of you probably agree that decorating our home, whether it is for those religious, cultural or social reasons, it reminds us of good times connecting with family and friends. Jenny mentioned the rich reds, greens and golds, and of course some twinkly lights. I've got my little twinkly light going here to get me in the mood. All these warm colours and the twinkly lights certainly makes our homes and ourselves feel a lot more cosier during these dullest days of winter time. And I was actually reading a Good Housekeeping article that confirmed studies that showed introducing decorations to our home improved mood and ignited positive memories. And the physical act of putting out these decorations offered a boost to our happy hormone, dopamine. So, Christmas decorating ignites the child in us, eliciting positive emotions, and that is me to a T. I love Christmas decorations. I love twinkly lights. I do the full buna. My house isn't particularly big, but gosh, I go to town on it. So, thinking about our cared for, let's boost their happy hormones even more by supporting them to make their own Christmas decorations. And making a simple Christmas decoration, oops, like this one here, doesn't have to be fancy. Or even this wee one here, it's just got some coloured white stones in the base. It's a jam jar, a little green ribbon. I could have done red or gold or anything you fancied. I've got some stems of evergreen foliage and a wee homemade lollipop stick with a wee sticker of a robin on it. And that's a really simple Christmas decoration we could encourage and support folks to have a go at doing. So easily done as a tabletop activity. We're all individuals, and each and every one of us would all get something quite unique from any activity that we engaged in collectively. But some of the outcomes enjoyed that many can benefit from can include a little bit of physical activity and engagement with outdoors. I nipped out this morning and collected the foliage that I'm using here today. So a wee walk around the garden, it was blowing an absolute fully. I had to do my hair when I came in, so I did. But, you know, just walking around, snipping some of the evergreen, I didn't realise how much evergreen I actually had in my garden, but these are all different evergreen shrubs that are growing in my garden. So I went round, snipped some of them, snipped some stems, and just that feeling of rather fresh air compared to the warm kitchen that I just came out of was really very invigorating. I really loved my wee walk. And as I get into doing the demo in a wee while, you'll see that this activity involves following a sequence which promotes concentration, which can be good for many of our clients. Fine motor skills are exercised in handling, selecting and cutting the foliage. And of course, perhaps this all could be set up as a team task. As we get into the demo, you'll see how that would perhaps work. But individuals could perhaps cut the oasis or hand out the pre-cut foliage stems, or somebody that's more adept with scissors could actually be cutting the stems to size. But before we even get to that stage, it's really important to take the time and plan the activity in advance to ensure clients are supported to benefit as much as possible. So plan where, which room is it going to take place in, and who needs help to join in, and who's going to help me help them join in. And when, allow plenty of time. We've got an hour, and I mean, I really wish it was 2 hours because I could make this last 2 hours really quite easily, chatting about this and that and showing different bits and bobs. But time is tight for everybody, so plan the activity, and that will help alleviate that time pressure. So what do we need? Have all the materials to hand. I've got all this prep before the activity so that when you guys join me, we can get into the moment together. And I'm not stressing about, have I got this, have I not got that? I'm here, I'm engaging with you or engaging with my clients and just being in the moment and enjoying it. And using some of that conversation pointers that Jenny has just shared with us. Chat about, did you have a Christmas tree when you were at home to you? What is your memory of Christmas? So planning and gathering of materials has all been done. You guys have all gathered round. So now we're going to get on with the demo. I just want to quickly point out this foliage. This is all different bits and bobs that's in my garden. It's a great thing just to even have a tub like this and pass it round and start folks just handling. Some of it's a wee bit jaggier, some of it's really quite soft, some of it is colourful. So that in itself is a great extension activity. Perhaps do it the day before with somebody more able, go out and gather the bits and bobs, and even just handling the foliage itself. So florist foam. This is florist foam, commonly known as Oasis. And I've already soaked it in a tub of water, like a basin, overnight. It comes dry, and I've soaked up all this water, which is ideal for sticking the foliage stem into. There is an increasing range of eco-friendly Oasis available, which is really good news. If you go online and Google Oasis, you'll find it quite easily. What else do we need? So we've got my Oasis, I've got my knife to cut my Oasis with, and I need a container. So this is just like a wee sort of like a pie dish tin, as long as it's got no holes in the base, because this will eat water out, and you want to be able to top up the water in the basin for the Oasis to keep on soaking up water to keep the plants, the foliage, as healthy as possible. What I'm actually going to use today is this yogurt tub. If I had more time, I would actually have decorated it. I would have painted it actually, But anyway, you're just going to have to make do with the yogurt tub as it is. But I came across this, and I can't even remember where I got this, but this is a wee hot drink cup, and it's got a wee reindeer on it. So obviously I've been treated to a hot coffee or a hot chocolate at some point, and I've kept this cup thinking I would use that. Not going to use it today. Oh, and one other thing before I start is you can actually buy pre-prepared Oasis containers. This is a waterproof tub, and the Oasis is already pre-cut to size and inside it. And then you've got this lovely skirt that goes over the top of it. The inside is white. You could actually untangle it and do it round about the other way and do it for Easter. Reuse the Oasis for Easter time perhaps. So back to today. So I've got my Oasis, and this is the tub that I'm going to be doing my decoration into. Yogurt pot, no holes in the base. I'm just going to mark roughly the shape of the pot and move over a bit to see things a bit clearer. And I'm just going to slice down round to make this fit my yogurt pot a bit better. Yep, that's quite good. I want to leave it a wee bit proud of the container, but that's just a bit too high. So I'll cut that bit off, and that's me got my Oasis stuck into my container, my vase, or what you want to call it. Now, you could go into the charity shops and get yourself some. This is a wee butter dish that I got out of a charity shop, and it's really quite sweet. I hide the lovely pattern in the bottom with Oasis, but I'll get another use out of it sometime. And that's a nice wee shallow one that might be a good one that some people might like to fill that shape. So Oasis is soaked in its container, so I'm now going to start with the skirt of the decoration. I've already been out, as I said, and collected this foliage, and I've cut things roughly to the size that I know I want my decoration to end up being. But roughly speaking, this stem is kind of just short of double the distance of the diameter. I'm going to pull off the bottom leaves, so it's a clean stem to fit into the Oasis, and I'm going to poke that length of stem into, and I'm going to have it sitting on top of my container here because I want this to be a flat edge. So that's the first one. So to save some time, I've taken off most of the leaves off of these ones, so we can I can whip through this quite quickly. I'm going to move this out the way. Just slide them straight in, and you can see that I'm creating a skirt. I tend to think of this like a posh lady's frock, and this layer at the bottom here is the petticoat that's kind of like sticking out, and the lovely soft fabric is draping over the slightly more rigid petticoat, if that makes sense. Now, as I say, I've already pre-cut these just to save time, but this would be a lovely extension activity to do the day before perhaps, or perhaps a group of people could set this activity up. You could set it up and they could get on with it themselves. So that's me got my first layer of foliage on, starting to take shape. The next one I want to use is a contrasting foliage. It's another conifer, but you can see the contrast in the dark green to this brighter green. Who knew there was so many colours of green? It's quite incredible when you actually stop and just start doing it. And when we're at this stage, just take the moment to just stop and compare. Who prefers this colour of green to that colour of green? This is really jolly, that's a wee bit sadder looking, but when you put them in together, it's so much nicer. Compare leaves of the foliage that you're working with. These conifer leaves are called scales. These scales are completely different to this shiny waxy leaf of the ivy, and they're growing side by side out in my garden, quite thin. So my next layer, my lady's dress, I'm going to sort of like put this in at what I'll call a jaunty angle. The first one's went in horizontally. This one's going to go in slightly more at an angle, like so. And again, I've already cut these to the size that I know is going to fit. They're slightly shorter than the bottom layer, and they're going to squeeze around here. And I've taken off the bottom layers of leaf scales so that I can just pop them in quite quickly. Now it's such a, I find this a really therapeutic activity, because just that success in sliding the stem into the damp oasis is really satisfying. You get a really quick result. And you can go at whatever pace suits. And again, this is the time we want to be taking stock, chatting, perhaps singing that song, The Holly and the Ivy. That will be in my head all day now, Jenny, so it will be. So there we go, we've got our next layer. And because I knew Jenny was going to be talking about the holly and the ivy, I went out and I cut a whole load of ivy. And I particularly like using ivy because we've got these lovely contrasting leaves to the foliage. Again, it's a different shape, it's a different texture, it's a different colour, a different shade of green. And then you've got all these lovely flower buds. Now the buds won't actually come into flower now that I've cut them and they're coming indoors, but they will keep this lovely shape and they're really quite striking. Perhaps you could do something with these flower buds. If you're okay working with a spray paint, you could put some glittery gold over it, and then that would add an injection of Christmassy colour without too much effort. And all I'm going to do with these, because they're nice and moundy, let's say, they're just going to be fill in this whole centre piece, this whole gap in the middle here is just going to be one big mass of ivy leaf and flower bud. Just poke some in the side here. One more here. I'll say it myself. We're starting to look good, so we are. Okay, so how about adding in some Christmas colour? What I like to do is use carnations. I tend not to use berries because the berries dry really, really quickly, and depending on your client group, they might be tempted to pick them and eat them. So I like to use things like carnations. They are, first of all, they're relatively inexpensive to buy, and they do last a long time in our centrally heated homes. And when they start taking up some water out of the oasis, the buds will open out into flowers. I'm going to open a few carnations here just to jazz it up a little bit. Adding some festive cheer. And I also want to add in, this is dogwood cornice. You get them in different colours. You get green ones, gold ones, the gold one that I've got here. But I'm going to use these red ones and I'm just going to stick them in to add a contrasting texture and shape again. Always work in odd numbers. Put 1 in or 3 in, or if it's much bigger, put 7 in. How about that? Don't use 7, use 5, then jump to 9. There's something about 7. Florists don't like using 7 of anything. Now, we're as good as gold now, I think. But another extension activity you could perhaps do is a week or two beforehand. is have a wee craft making session. These are lollipop sticks, coloured lollipop sticks that I have just basically stuck some stickers on. That's a wee sticky off bit at the back that I've not peeled off. I've just stuck that on like that. This is a cocktail stick that's got a wee sticker of a robin stuck on it. You could easily stick one of them in just for a wee bit of pizzazz. Robin, like so, and we're almost there. I never mentioned the scent of the foliage because I'm getting the scent. Sadly, you guys aren't. But even just handling the foliage is giving off so much scent. The hut here is actually smelling very Christmassy at the moment. Eucalyptus is another one that is evergreen. And it's a great one. I've not actually used that in my decoration, but I quite often use eucalyptus. So if you've got eucalyptus growing somewhere, definitely use some of that. Okay, so it's coming up to that time of year when everybody's going daft. They're all going out buying Christmas presents and time is running out. But for many of our cared for, buying a gift for a loved one is a liberty that they can't really enjoy anymore. So this would be a wonderful activity to engage your clients in, to make one, to keep for themselves, obviously, to enjoy for many weeks to come, because this foliage will keep fresh for several weeks. And once it starts to get a bit tired, you can reuse the oasis and do another one, and that'll take you over Christmas well into January. So how about making a gift tag? These are just plain tags that I bought out of a shop, and I bought a wee roll of handmade with love stickers, and I've personalised my own stickers. I'm going to write to my loved one from me, and the dogwood stem acts as the perfect place to hang your gift from. So it's a lovely activity to support your cared for, to make something to share with their loved ones when they visit. So that's that decoration. But I appreciate that for some that might just be a wee bit too overwhelming, perhaps those that can be anxious around decision making. So how about getting ahead and prepare little kits for individuals? So what I have done is I've got a little plastic pot. I'll give away my secret that I do enjoy pakora, and I do like their onions that you can get out of Indian as well. And these are the little dishes that you get that stuff in. So I've cut my oasis to fit my little plastic pot here. No holes in the bottom again, remember. And I've got a selection of ready cut to size foliage. How many have I got here? I think I put in 6 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 all together. And no decision making needing to be done here. Everything's in front of me. All we have to do now is just add encouragement. And when the box is completely empty, project is complete. So I'm just going to make this tall one to the back. Next one. This would be an easy one for you to do along. Let people, everybody's got the same piece of foliage that everybody can copy you or just make their own one. I love using ivy. Ivy gets put in everything that I'm making. Have that coming out the side. And then this is a little viburnum, evergreen leaves. It's got little red buds on it just now. Pop that in there for a bit of colour. I'm doing this in jig time. This is a bit too tall. Wee snip of the red cornice. Single stem of carnation. Are we looking okay? Got my little red robin redbreast on a lollipop stick here. I'm going to stick that in there at an angle.
Looking good.
Finally, I'm going to add on a little tag that I've already made. Hang that at the side. And there's a simpler activity that I'm sure many of your group would enjoy getting involved in making. So on you go, outside, it's not raining anymore. Grab some evergreen foliage and gather round and just get creative. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for watching, folks.
Great, thank you very much, Joan. So if anybody has any questions or comments, raise your hand or put it in the chat. We do already have a question for you, Joan. Can we use wet sand or gravel instead of foam?
Yep, I've got gravel in the first one that I showed you was the jam jar with white stone that I bought out of a craft shop, but pea gravel would work. What you've got to be careful with, you've got to make sure that the stem you're using is like something sturdy. So likes of the holly and the ivy would work, and like chunkier bits of conifer would work. Something a bit more like the carnation, the carnation stem is a wee bit more fragile, so it might not slide down through the gravel quite so well. But sand, yep, sand's a great one. I've used sand before, and of course you can buy coloured sand as well. But what I would do is put the foliage stems into the drier sand, then add water afterwards. It makes it go in a little bit easier.
Great, thank you very much. Louise is asking, how early is it suggested that you can go out and get the greenery that she wants to be prepared, but she doesn't want anything to wilt?
Okay, if you can afford, if you've got a friendly neighbour that's got a big conifer tree or big shrubs, evergreen shrubs, that they actually would quite like you to take some stems off of, you can actually, the bigger the chunk of branch, I'm going to say, but I don't mean like a huge big half the tree or anything like that. The bigger the bit that you can bring in to work with, the better, because it will keep longer without being, it will keep longer indoors before you cut it up into tiny wee bits than if you cut it into tiny wee bits off the branch, then bring it indoors. But I have, gosh, I cut that foliage this morning, so it's very, very fresh. I would say a good week beforehand, 5 to 7 days. Any more than a week, it's going to go over. But what you should do is get a cardboard box or something and just spray it and put all the foliage into the cardboard box. So it's a kind of like damp environment, but don't put it in a hot place because it'll get hot and sweaty. But keep it in a damp, make it a wee damp place and put it outside in the garage or something like that, and then that'll keep it nice and cool and fresh for you. Does that help?
Does anybody have any more questions, comments? Raise your hand if you want to voice a question.
Has anybody had a go at doing some festive floristry previously? Is it something that anyone has tried in the past? No, everybody's quiet.
Philippa is saying that was great, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, it's an activity that, you know, once you've, don't be daunted about having a go at it. I'm not a trained florist, and any florist that might be watching will know that. But it's all about having a go, and it's just so nice to actually handle the foliage and just take the time to compare the shapes, the colours, the shades of green. As I said, some of the, just handling them, spotting which plants have actually got flower buds on them. It's an activity in itself, and bringing it this time of the year, so few of us take the time to go outside. Let's face it, it's always blown a hoolie, but to be able to bring the garden indoors and have the foliage on a table for people just to handle, and reminisce over, you know, like, gosh, I remember a plant like this in my garden, or, oh, I want one of these in my garden. Let's go and buy one. So it just offers lots of opportunity, and that empowering someone to make their own project from start to finish and something they can be so proud of. I mean, it's absolutely fabulous for someone's self-esteem. So I would really encourage everybody to have a go. And if you can't get the foliage out of your garden, maybe you don't have a garden, go to your florists and just tell them that you would like some of their leftover foliage. I've done that before, because there's lots of things that they actually put out because they can't keep it because it's not fresh enough for them to make into really nice arrangements to sell. So go and explain what it is you're looking to do, and it might surprise you what you get given to take away. Cut off the bottom of the stems and put any kind of tired foliage into fresh water, and it will soon perk up. So it will, you will definitely, and that's these ones that I've just made today, I'll get 3 weeks out of them. Don't sit them on top of a radiator and in bright sunlight, and they'll last longer. The cooler the room, the longer they will last. So make one just now, make one next week, go and get yourselves organized, make one next week, and that will take you up to middle of December, and then do another one, and then that'll take you over Christmas and New Year. And of course, no reason why you can't do one at the beginning of January. There'll be lots more interesting stuff out in the garden by then.
Great. Margaret said, great results from a simple activity and a low cost. Thank you. Well, we've got Lorna with her hand up. Lorna, are you happy to unmute and voice your question or comment?
Hello, yes.
Hi.
All I wanted to say is we actually did this last year. We run an art group and a plant project, so it's a bit, we actually combined the two and hired a hall and played yourselves doing this particular project, and then obviously played your recording back so people could redo it over and over, step by step, bit by bit by bit. And this was the one that was asked so many times to be played back.
Great.
They thoroughly enjoyed it, and that whole thing of going out and gathering, and then we did it over a series of weeks because we have very slowly, bit by bit, but the things that they bought the consecutive weeks was quite remarkable. They loved it. So yeah.
Great. Okay, and don't just keep it for Christmas time. I know traditionally, but it's a lovely thing to do year round as well, you know. So yeah, thank you, Lorna. Great.
No, thank you. You gave me the incentive.
No, thank you for sharing that. It's nice to hear that. Thanks.
Okay. And Jenny's asked in the chat, would people be interested in doing this as a long activity session via Zoom with your group in January? Could people use a reaction button and give us a thumbs up, or let us know if that's something that you'd be interested in? Get some thumbs up. Great.
Yeah, I think it might work nicely in January, actually, Jenny, because well, it can be a slow time of the year. Not everybody's busy with their work, but you mentioned that the days start to get longer after the 21st of December. It doesn't seem like they're getting any longer. Not in the first fortnight in January. It seems like they're actually getting darker. No, so it's a nice thing to do. We've done it with some groups in the past, early on in January. And it's always a really welcome activity. And all the foliage that I've been using today will be readily available in January as well. Evergreen foliage is evergreen all year round.
That's great. We could add some different colour in January,
Yeah.
couldn't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We'll find other things in the shops.
And of course, like come January, things like your heathers, if you've got heathers in your garden, they're just starting to bud up just now. They'll be flowering by January. So you'll have heather that we could put in the decorations, Christmas roses, hellebores, there's, and skimmia, not skimmia, yep. And oh my goodness, Jenny, you've got Mahonia. I was going to say Mahonia. There's lots of exciting things that we could do in January. Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to putting that in the calendar then. That'll be good.
Great. Any more questions, comments? Raise your hand. Put any comments in the chat. So it might be everybody. Great. Anything else, Joan, that you want to add?
No, I think I did mention the watering. Just make sure that the container you're using is a proper watertight container, and depending on how warm the room is that you're putting the decoration into will affect how much water you have to keep on topping up. Don't have it swimming in water, but check it every day. And if your oasis is starting to feel dry, top some water up so it can soak up water to keep the plant stems nice and full of water, to keep them looking fresh and healthy.
Great. Thank you very much, Joan.
You're very welcome.
Nikki said very helpful. Thank you.
Great. You're very welcome.
Marie Laura is saying that she said that skimmia fruits were toxic.
Yeah, everything, I would encourage everybody to treat everything in the garden that they've not grown purposely to eat as not for eating. So be very careful with your particular client groups. That's why I don't use berries, because it can, you know, people just see them as a fruit, like a red currant, and they want to eat it. So that's why I tend not to use any berries in my decorations. The skimmia flower, when it's just budding up, doesn't look too edible. But if there's any part, if your client groups have got any allergies or particular sensitivities, then yes, be very careful about what plants you're actually using. Even things like the holly, it can be quite jaggy for some, but I still quite like using the holly because it's a gentle jag and it's a nice sensory stimulation for some people to get that exposure to something that they don't get anymore. So yeah, good point. Thanks, Mary, Laura.
All right. Okay, perfect. Thanks very much. And someone had asked earlier about when the recording will be available. So the session is recorded and it will be on YouTube just as quickly as we can get it edited and uploaded, and you can watch it back anytime. So we would like to say thank you to everybody for their contribution today in our live demo event. A very big thank you to Joan and Jenny. So the next session on the calendar is the Sensory Impairment Awareness Training on the 24th of November. The session is now fully booked, but we would ask that you still register your interest just to give an idea of how many people would be interested in more sessions like this. Sorry, we've also got another comment that's just come into the chat that I'd just like to read out. So this is great to do as a group. We love all the aromas and always have a beautiful outcome, and they'll look forward to doing this. Great. We will be back in the new year with some live demonstrations, and as we mentioned, we're looking to do interactive sessions, and the first date back is the 5th of January, and we've also got another one booked in for the 12th. So just keep an eye out for our programme and get ready to book. If you sign up for our newsletter, that's probably the best way to hear about all the live Zooms first of all, and you can do that on our website. Meanwhile, there are all of the recordings and how-to videos on our YouTube channel, and we've also got our year-round gardening book is available to pre-order on our website, and it's 52 activities, an activity for every week of the year. Jenny is going to put a link to our survey in the chat. We would really appreciate it if you could take a couple of minutes to do the feedback survey, and if you complete it, there will be a free giveaway, and it's something to help with your floral displays. So thank you very much.